Very fast, we're going through some things, trying to figure out where my hockey content's mainly going to be. Follow me on Twitter for everything about the Rangers and obviously all the New York sports and college football there. Let's get into the blue shirts. Before I talk about this season, let's talk about the 24-25 New York Rangers. How would you describe the 2024-25 New York Rangers? Historic, disappointing, collapse, quit, lackluster, anything there. That is what the 24-25 New York Rangers were. After getting off to a 5-0-1 start, 11-4-1, they collapsed starting in November. Then Chris Drury sent out the memo, traded Jacob Trouba. You know how that goes. Then the Rangers, do I even need to talk about the 24 season? In a constant effort for me not to talk about last season, I had ChatGPT give you a bunch of blown leads that the Rangers had or just terrible losses. Montreal, they had 4 one-goal leads, blew it in overtime. Dallas, 3-0, lost in overtime. Seattle, up 3-1, lost 8-5. Calgary at home, they were absolutely embarrassed. So many more. That Ottawa game when the Rangers and Ottawa were fighting for the playoffs, they were up 3-1 in the third, blew that Brady Tkachuk goal. The Rangers blew leads or they were blown out. Everything went wrong for that hockey team. Why the New York Rangers were bad in 2025, I'm not going to throw any stats out there. They quit. It goes back to when they traded Barclay Goodrow in July 2024 and how they handled it. That was the first crack in the locker room, and you could tell. And then the season goes on and on. The Rangers start off 5-0-1, and then they start blowing it in November. Chris Drury sends out the memo. Nobody felt safe when that memo came out. And it leads to Jacob Trouba getting traded. It leads to all the other stuff going on around the organization. Igor Shesterkin finally gets paid. The Rangers lost the locker room. Peter Laviolette lost the locker room. The Rangers did not want to play for that regime, and it was obvious. There were so many games where they just looked flat out unmotivated. And the biggest thing, in 23-24, when the Rangers won the President's Trophy, they led the league in comeback wins with 28. They had one third period comeback all of last season. In 23-24, if the Rangers went down, you had faith they'd come back. Last year, they lied down. Every time they went down, they laid down, and that was their biggest problem. They quit, and there was clearly a problem. And if you're not going to take my word for it, go to any reliable Rangers reporter. I'll give you 6 right now. Peter Baugh, The Athletic. Vince Mercogliano, The Athletic. Molly Walker, New York Post. Larry Brooks, New York Post. Colin Stevens, Newsday. There are guys that have said this that have actual sourcing that say the Rangers quit. So that is the reason why they were bad last season. And that's enough of that. So let's talk about this season. Talking about the New York Rangers, they're going as far as these 6 go. Artemi Panarin, Vincent Trocheck, and Alexis Lafreniere were one of the best lines in the NHL in 23-24. Trocheck and Lafreniere took a step back. Panarin's points went back because those guys didn't play as well. And then you talk about these 3, right? JT Miller, 29th captain, about to talk about him. Will Cooley starting in a top 6 role. I think he's going to go down eventually, and Gabe Perreault's going to go up. Mika Zibanejad, that is the guy. And if the Rangers are going to be a good offensive team, especially in the top 6, it's because of these 2. It really is, because Vincent Trocheck's the commander of the Panarin-Lafreniere line. He's the guy in the center, and he's also the best defensive player on that line. That line was way too vulnerable to counterattacks and offensive chances last season. This guy, Mika Zibanejad, 4 more years, $8.5 million. Right now, it looks like one of the worst contracts in the league, especially after last season. Zibanejad is taking on a new role in opening night. He's not playing center. He's playing wing next to JT Miller. JT Miller, full 200-foot player. I like this for Zibanejad. Allows him to focus more on his playmaking and staying on that wing side of the ice. You saw the flashes of it when JT Miller came over. Mike Sullivan likes it. So if Zibanejad and Trocheck play better or even get a slight increase in production from last season, the Rangers become much, much more formidable. Let's talk about this guy, JT Miller. 29th captain New York Rangers history. I understand he just got back. He is the longest tenured guy. Drafted by the team in 2014, I'm using that to say he's the longest tenured guy. And he lines up perfectly with Mike Sullivan. Let's talk about off the ice first. He's a leader since the second he got here. Mike Sullivan and him have experience going back to the Four Nations in February 25. The Rangers have been wearing shirts that say no BS this preseason, especially after what happened last year. He's a no BS type of player. Mike Sullivan's a no BS type of coach. The Rangers need leadership. He's going to bring it. Not to mention he's a top 10 center in the league. Since 21-22, he is the only player in the NHL to have over 300 points and 700 hits. JT Miller is someone that will do it all. on both sides of the ice, on special teams. He makes the Rangers a much, much, much better hockey team. And the reason he makes them a much better hockey team, I mean, for the past few years, you expect Mika Zibanejad to be the leading point getter on a line, and he was. But he's past his prime, and he's past his prime if last season indicated it. JT Miller, the past few seasons, 99 points, 82 points, 103 points. He had around 70 last year on 2 different teams. This guy will make everyone around him better. And he needs to make this guy better, because this guy is the biggest X factor in the Rangers offense right now. Keeping it going, these two and Sam Carrick, Edstrom, Carrick, Rempe, is stability on the fourth line. You're not paying them much. Sam Carrick was great in his first year with the Rangers, put up one of the highest point totals of his career, killed penalties, really did it all. And then these two, young, feisty, and they keep getting better. Matt Rempe speaks for himself. Go check anything about him. He became a bona fide bottom 6 player in the NHL last season, especially the last month. Adam Edstrom dealt with an injury, kept him out for the second half of the year. But you have these two guys, the fourth line looks pretty good. The biggest uncertainty for the Rangers line-wise is their third line. Right now it's listed as Brett Berard, Noah Laba, and Taylor Radish. Laba had a great preseason. Berard's younger. Radish coming over from a Washington team that was just first in the East. Both have high engines. Both keep their feet moving. The biggest thing I'm looking to see here, Gabe Perreault and Brendan Othmann. Both look like they're not going to be on the opening night roster tomorrow, but both flash ton of potential. We know what they are. They're both going to get shots this year, especially Perreault. Perreault will be in the lineup in these first 10 games. And so if Perreault shows flashes of a top 6 player, which, by the way, he totally can. You look at his Boston College stats, freshman point record set by Johnny Gaudreau. Perreault got that. He's one of the best players in college hockey. He showed flashes in the 7 games that Peter Laviolette played him. So there's a perfect scenario where he's good on the left wing. You put him with Miller and Zibanejad, and you move Will Cooley down, because Will Cooley is a much better third liner than he is first liner. That's obvious. There are a lot of things to be figured out about these Rangers lines, but I'll tell you this. They are a better forward group than they were opening night last season. Let's talk about defense, because the Rangers in 24-25, first in high danger chances allowed, first in mid danger chances allowed. This line changes everything, because if this line is playing at the top of its game, it's one of the best in the NHL. Adam Fox speaks for himself, what he does on both sides of the ice. He's one of the most skilled not only defensemen, but players in the league. And then you bring in Vladislav Gavrikov, who is one of the best free agent signings from this year. Vladislav Gavrikov is exactly what the New York Rangers needed. He is one of the premium shutdown defensemen in the NHL with a plus-minus rating of plus 26 last season for Los Angeles. He's a guy that plays over 20 minutes a game, can kill penalties, is great on 5-on-5, and he is a true shutdown defender. That is exactly what the Rangers need in terms of their defensive ability. And at 7 years, $7 million, I mean, that's a great contract, especially with the cap going up. And then you could talk about what it means for Adam Fox. Adam Fox has had a revolving door of defensemen next to him, especially last year. It was Ryan Lindgren, Carson Soucy, whoever you wanted to throw out there. And then, yeah, sure, Fox got criticism, and some of it was deserved, but he didn't have a true guy next to him. Gavrikov, you know what he brings, especially on the defensive end. It's going to allow Fox to be more offensive. And so, Fox should have a better season. And I think that's really obvious, and I think he will have a better season. The rest of their defense, Will Borgen they got on the Capo trade, Carson Soucy they got from Vancouver, Valkanainen from the Anaheim trade, Brandon Schneider. I think that's fine. I mean, Will Borgen, he signed for $4.1 million through 2040. These two are the biggest problems because last season they were inconsistent, especially in New York. Brandon Schneider, you know what you're getting. But I do think this is a better Rangers defensive core compared to what they were rolling out on opening night last season when you consider Jacob Trouba's injuries, when you consider how bad Ryan Lindgren was down the stretch. You like this group, especially 44. Last thing, because I'm running out of time. You could literally trash everything about what I just said. Because of this. No matter how bad the New York Rangers are, they will always have a chance because they have Igor Shesterkin in net. I could throw out any stat out there, but I won't. What I will tell you is Igor Shesterkin is one of the premium goaltenders in hockey. He has put up some of the best postseason stats ever, and he is one of the best goalies in the league. So any given night, no matter how the Rangers play, if this guy stands on his head, they have a chance. And that is what makes the Rangers the most scary. It's 31. I'm going to have a prediction soon, but let that sit right now. I have a few more things to cover in a prediction, so this is part 2 Rangers preview. Let's talk about 31 for one more second. Igor Shesterkin did not have a season that lives up to his bar in 24-25, and I'm not denying that. But you look at the Rangers, first and high danger chances allowed, first and mid danger chances allowed. How many times did they leave this guy out to dry? If the Rangers are even a sliver better as a defensive hockey team, and then you combine it with this guy, they are one of the scariest teams in the league. Because it really doesn't matter what you put in front. Because when a team lines up against Igor Shesterkin, especially in the playoffs, they are going to be shaking in their boots. They are. You throw out any of his postseason stats or any of his stats, throw out his 21-22 season or anything is done, everyone in the NHL world knows what a threat this guy is. I mean, if you want to talk about the contract for a second, sure. Igor Shesterkin's the highest paid goalie in NHL history, making $11.5 million annually. His contract's going to look better and better because the salary cap keeps going up and up. The Rangers are still able to make moves, a la Vladislav Gavrikov, a la going for Kaprizov. I know he signed, or McDavid. I know he signed, but the Rangers are going to be in the pool. His contract's not holding anyone back. And if you want to throw out stats, Shesterkin had the worst season of his career last year, and he still had a goals against average of 2.86, save percentage over 900. With the Rangers being a much better defensive team in front of him in this season, and they are with Gavrikov and with Borgen, I do think they're better defensively. And you add in the forwards too, his stats are going to look a lot better. And just remember this, if the Rangers even slip in, do you think any team wants to play 31 in the playoffs? I'll give you that answer right now, it's no. And so you could scrap anything from any of my Rangers content ever. But I want you to listen to this. With Igor Shesterkin, this team is always going to have a chance. It's just like when they had Henrik Lundqvist. And it's just like the Lightning with Andrei Vasilevsky. And it's just like any of the best goalies in the league. The Jets with Connor Hellebuck. Or Jacob Markstrom when he plays well. Or Logan Thompson with the Capitals standing on his head last year. There are a lot of goalie inconsistencies in the NHL. This is not one of them. And this is one of the greatest advantages in the NHL. And so if the Rangers are even a sliver of a better defensive team, his stats are going to look so much better, and his goaltending heroics should win you a few games. If you want something that might hang over the team's head, a la Shesterkin, a la the Trouba stuff last season, the stuff that really derailed it, if you want to talk about off-ice stuff getting to the team, it's this. Artemi Panarin's in the last year of his 7-year, $81.5 million contract, whatever it was, $11.5 million a year, made him one of the highest paid players in the league last time. And now he's in the final year, which is crazy because if you told me that when I was a senior in high school when he signed, I would have been like, damn, time really flies. Panarin's the fastest player in Rangers history to reach 400 points, the fastest to reach 500 points. He had his worst season as a Ranger last year, and he still led the team with 89. This guy is still a bona fide top 20 player in the league. He's really experienced an uptick in his scoring the past few seasons. He really has. And you want to look at it, I'll show you right now. Panarin, last year, 37 goals, the year before 49 goals. Those are both career highs. This guy's been shooting the puck more. He makes them so much of a better line. If I had to predict right now, I don't know when it's coming, they're going to re-sign Artemi Panarin. He's going to take less. And if the Rangers really aren't contending, they might trade him. But I think the Rangers are a contender, and one of the main reasons they are a contender is because of this guy. And so I would be very surprised if Artemi Panarin wasn't a blue shirt in 26 and beyond. And it doesn't matter if it's a short-term, long-term contract. I could see something similar to McDavid. Biggest thing here, he's going to take a pay cut. And assuming the Rangers are contending, I think that he will stay a New York Ranger. So it's some X factors. 13. This is the year for Alexis Lafreniere. Alexis Lafreniere, what are you going to be for the New York Rangers? Are you going to be the number one pick that lives up to your potential, similar to 23-24 when you set career highs in points, goals, ice time, all that? Or are you going to be someone that isn't effective on most nights or lives up to that number one pick status? Because if the New York Rangers are one of the better teams in the NHL this year, it's because of 13. And with the new regime and with the Rangers contention window, when you add up the ages of Miller, Panarin, Trocheck, Zibanejad, he's one of the younger players. And if Lafreniere is not playing well, Mike Sullivan and the Rangers regime will not have a problem packaging him, especially with all the trade rumors this offseason. I still have so much faith in Alexis Lafreniere. I think even last year he got the brunt of a lot of criticism. I think that his goal scoring was not that good, and he had a lot of chances. But his skating was fine. He still averaged 17 minutes on ice, and I think that he will have a bounce-back year this year. And if the Rangers are successful, he's going to be a reason why. I mean, you want to go to his 23-24 season when he had 28 goals, 29 assists, 57 points, tied for the top team in scoring in the playoffs with 8 goals. You could talk about his goals in Game 3 against the Panthers or Game 2 against the Hurricanes. This guy was an X factor. And I think a lot of this stuff got to him. And so I think with this contract of $7 million a year, something around there that he's making, he's going to bounce back. I said $7 million, it's 7.45. If he lives up to the contract, yeah, he's a top 6 player, bona fide difference maker for the Rangers, and he showed it. 24-25, yeah, he didn't. But in his defense, did any of New York besides Artemi Panarin, especially offensively, they all took a step back. And so if there's really just no BS attitude, this new regime, new coaching staff, I think he's going to improve, because look at his first year with Peter Laviolette. He set career highs in everything. And now you bring in Mike Sullivan, someone that has coached some of the best of this generation. So I think Alexis Lafreniere, like the rest of the team, they're going to get better. A few more things before I make my prediction. The Rangers had one of the most disappointing seasons in NHL history last year. They became the 4th team to win the President's Trophy the year before they missed the playoffs. They did that in 92-2. You know what they did in 94? Won the Cup. Am I saying the New York Rangers are going to win the Cup? No, absolutely not. But everything that went against the New York Rangers last season worked both on and off the ice. The locker room was broken, the team looked unmotivated, and whenever they faced the slightest bit of adversity, they folded. And that is why you needed to get rid of Peter Laviolette. That's why you needed to get rid of Chris Kreider. That's why you made all those changes. This really is a new era for the team with the new captain and JT Miller. They still have guys that have been on 2 Eastern Conference Finals runs. They're still built like a contender because of 31 in net, because you have one of the best defensemen in the league with 23, Adam Fox, because you have Artemi Panarin, Mika Zibanejad, JT Miller, Vincent Trocheck, Alexis Lafreniere. If they all play well, the Rangers have one of the best top 6s in the league. And so everything went wrong for them. Can it get worse? Yeah, sure. It's not going to feel like that. And that's because the bar is lower. Because right now the Rangers are not a Stanley Cup contender until they prove it on the ice. And expectations should have been sky high for the Rangers last year because of what they did in 23-24, and they brought everyone back. And you expected guys to make a jump like Lafreniere and Kaapo Kakko and Filipino when they were here. And you didn't expect Zibanejad and Trocheck to have that much of a decrease in production, especially after the way they all started. Here's what I'll tell you now. Not many in the NHL world view the Rangers as a contender. And I don't either. But what I'll tell you, if things work right, they're built like one. They have the experience. They have the guys on conference final runs. If they have the youth. Right? You could talk about Perreault, Othman, Laba. If they play well, the Rangers are a much more talented team offensively, and you have 31. And so I don't think as many eyes are on this team as you think. And they have a new coach in Mike Sullivan, who's one of the best coaches of this generation. Does this mean that they're a Stanley Cup contender? No. Things have to work. This leadership has to work. The locker room has to stay together, especially after what happened last year. But every sign's indicating that they're going no BS, and they are a team that is much more together and cohesive this year. And as a Ranger fan, that's exactly what you want. And why is that? I mean, one thing I always said last season when talking about the Rangers, both covering it or as a fan, if they didn't care, why should I? I mean, yeah, Rangers fans would turn on the TV and the team would quit in front of their eyes, look unmotivated. Whenever they went down, they wouldn't come back. That won't be the case this year. That won't. And I'm telling you that right now. And with that, let's get into a prediction for this season. I think the New York Rangers make the playoffs. I think they're going to finish second, third in the Metro. Worst wild card. This is a team that had everything stacked up against them last season, and they still just missed the playoffs. This team is way too talented. I'm literally going to do what Gary Cohen just said about the Mets. It is unfathomable to think of a pool of this much talent will miss the postseason. The same thing applies for New York. You have a top 5 goaltender in the league. You have a top 5 defenseman in the league. And now you bring in Vladislav Gavrikov to update the defensive core. They're going to be much more stable on that side of the ice. And then you have one of the top 15, top 6 groups that they play well. And you have youth. And you have potential. And there are a lot of gears that they could kick in. And now you have Mike Sullivan. This team is going to be a lot better this year if things go right and they stay healthy. And my last thing talking about last year. Because I think as much as we want to scrap it, the Rangers want it. They want to know what happened last year. Because it adds fuel to the fire. It adds motivation. That's why they're wearing the no BS shirts. That's why you see the players talk about it. That's why you see Mike Sullivan talk about it. It's got to be fuel. And whenever they go against a challenge like last year, I think they're going to respond to it better. And that's why I think they will be in the postseason come 2026 in April. Thank you for listening to my long New York Rangers preview. It's hockey season, guys. I'll have the Islanders soon, but let's go Rangers as always.